Welcome to the Champions of Active Women podcast. In this podcast, we will interview women who have been successful within athletics and beyond. We hope that the amazing women in these interviews encourage and inspire girls and women to be active for a lifetime, to reach their goals, and to break new barriers in sport and life. This podcast is brought to you by the Active Women's Health Initiative in the Sports Medicine Research Institute at the University of Kentucky. The mission of the Active Women's Health Initiative is to optimize health and promote physical activity and wellness for girls and women across the lifespan. We hope you enjoy our conversations and join us in understanding women's health today to ensure women's health tomorrow. Hi, I'm Dee Degonsky, your host of the Champions of Active Women podcast. Today I'm joined by Susan Bradley-Cox. Susan has been active in many different sports throughout her life and continues to be active today. She's been competing in master swimming since the 1980s and was a member of the USA Triathlon team for 23 years. Susan was inducted into the USA Triathlon Hall of Fame in 2011 and the Kentucky Athletic Hall of Fame in 2014. She shares her passion for being active through teaching, coaching, and philanthropic efforts in the local community. Susan, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dee.
So to get us started, could you tell me a little bit about your early life sport and physical activity experiences?
Well, growing up in Paducah, Kentucky, there was not much opportunity for girls in sports, but I was very fortunate that my mother had me swimming when I was 3 because my grandmother had drowned. So I had an older brother and and all boy cousins, so I was very active following them around. And my father bought me a bike when I was very young, and so I would bike to the pool. And so my background was basically just, anything that I was allowed to do, I did. And then I was a cheerleader from 6th grade all through college. And so that was the only activity that, other than, ballet classes and dancing things that I was exposed to growing up. But I was a lifeguard. I, worked for the Red Cross, taught swimming for the Red Cross, and but other than that, there wasn't a lot for women back in the late 50s.
Yeah, but it sounds like, regardless of the organized opportunities, that your parents were really supportive of you being active young girl.
I don't think they had a choice because I was just really active, and I think they would let me do anything that would keep me,
keep you moving and occupied.
Yes.
Great. So could you talk about any ways that your sport or physical activity impacted your career choices?
Well, it's real interesting. I wanted to be a swimmer, and of course we had a little team in Paducah, at our local pool, but not very few colleges back then had women's swimming. So my father let me go to Florida Southern, which was a small school, hoping they would have a swim team. Well, they built the pool while I was there, but they didn't have a team. So I had been a cheerleader, so I became a cheerleader there, and then I had learned to water ski because we lived near Kentucky Lake, and so I was really excited because they had a campus circus, and with my acrobatic background from dancing, I joined the circus, and I had all these dreams of being in this college circus and water skiing for Cypress Gardens, and I presented that to my father at Christmas, and he very quickly said, I think we've missed you, and you will go to the University of Kentucky. So the second semester, I found myself at the University of Kentucky, again with no women's swim team, which we had Blue Marlins, which was a synchronized swim team.
Okay.
So I was always looking for ways to be active, and I guess that was just my way of life.
Yeah. And it sounds like swimming hooked you early on. Was there something about that sport that you really enjoyed, or what was it about swimming that you kept coming back to and looking for that opportunity?
I guess it's just because it's one thing I was exposed to very young and became, passionate about from teaching. I taught for the Red Cross from the time I was 12 years old, and just loved the water, loved being around the water, and I was very fortunate to have learned young because a lot of girls my age did not have that opportunity growing up.
So did you continue being active when you came back to the University of Kentucky?
I became a cheerleader, and we had the synchronized swim team, Blue Marlins. I was a member of Troopers, which was a it was kind of a gymnastics team, and we performed. We put on. It was kind of like a circus in a way. It was, but it wasn't. Again, it was not a collegiate sport. It was just a club, and I just did anything that I was allowed. Anything that came up that I could participate in, I did.
Yeah.
So.
And talk to me a little bit about how that transitioned into your lifetime activity. You've obviously been really active all the way through the present day. So just talk about how your later life experiences in physical activity.
Well, luckily, my husband had been an athlete, and he encouraged me in a lot of ways to continue being active. And we played a lot of tennis together, and we played golf together, and he had been a swimmer. And so we had a lot of he taught water skiing, and he'd played basketball for the university for 1 year, and so he encouraged me, which I was happy about because I loved being active, and we rode bikes, and when my children were born, I had seats on the bikes for the kids, and back then no one did that, and I was criticized by some, and and probably admired by others, but. I just was always looking for ways to be active and have my family active with me.
Mm-hmm. And you've had a lot of success in triathlons. How did you find triathlons?
I joined a running club here in Lexington, Todd's Road Stumblers, because my husband told me I'd be a better tennis player if I would run. And so one day we were running at Todd's Road, and John Sensenig of John's Run Shop yelled at me and said, "I have just the thing for you," knowing that I was a swimmer and bike. I did bike. I didn't have a good bike. And I said, "What's that?" He said, "A triathlon." And I laughed, and I said, "The only bike I have has 2 seats on it for my kids." And he said, "Don't worry, we'll borrow one for you." So he put on the first triathlon in Lexington in 1982. At this time, I was 42 years old, and I was just elated to try something different. So having the swimming background, I'd been competing with masters, for several years. And so I borrowed a bike. I didn't know how to shift gears, and I won the overall women's division, and I was hooked. I said, this is a sport I basically have trained for my whole life.
Without even knowing it.
Without even knowing it, But see, it was so new. It was only 2 or 3 years in the making when I did my first one, so it was kind of like it just was opened a whole new, avenue for me.
Yeah.
So that's when then I bought a good bike, and started doing triathlons.
Yeah. How old were your kids at that point?
My kids at that point my oldest son had just gone to college, and my 2 youngest ones were in junior high school.
Okay. And was the whole family supportive of your physical activity efforts?
Oh, yes. My husband was behind me in the car, honking his horn, telling me to shift gears, which is, every time I tried, the chain would come off, so I just rode as fast as I could.
Yeah.
So if you want to call that being supportive, yes, they were always supportive.
Yeah. Did you ever get any pushback from others, and not your immediate family, but from others about, balancing being a mother and being active? Oh,
of course. And especially when I was training for the Ironman, I had people not want me to do it. They didn't think that physically or I was, should be doing something like that. Mm-hmm. But my children usually went with me when I did these things, and so and they were always I took them to Hawaii with me, and probably wouldn't have gone to Hawaii had they not been able to go. But when I qualified, I think I was the first female in Kentucky to qualify for Hawaii, and a gentleman in town I knew from running, came up to me after the Bluegrass 10,000 and offered. He said, "I would like to send you and I'd like to arrange for you and your children to go to Hawaii." And he said, "I will raise the money. I just want you to train." Yeah. And he raised the money to send us, because I could have never afforded to take my family, and I wouldn't have gone without them. What
a great story. It just gives me the chills hearing so many people were supportive.
This community was very, very supportive, and he had the Kiwanis Club. He said, "The only thing I'm going to ask you to do is make an appearance at some of these events, and just So it was, but then that put a lot of pressure on me because, to be honest with you, I wasn't sure I could do it. And back then, we didn't have coaches. We didn't have all the fancy equipment. And I just had to, kind of wing it and just do the best I knew how to do to do it. But it was very exciting.
Very cool. Did you, in all of your training, did you ever sustain an injury? And if so, what was that process like for you?
After doing Ironman Hawaii, I qualified to be on Team USA, which was, my husband had passed away, and this meant I could travel. And so I had to give up doing the distance triathlons in order to concentrate on the Olympic distance. And so I had qualified and been to the first World Championship, and because I had gotten a scholarship to go to that too, that was another story that was very exciting to me. John DuPont sponsored one person in each age group, and I was chosen to go. And the first World Championships were in France, and the U.S. won, and I saw Mark Allen, our pro triathlete, and the American flag go above his head and play the national anthem, and here I am in a foreign country. I'd never been out of the States, and, it was like, I want to stay on this team. So it meant I had to work real hard to qualify every year. Well, I had qualified to go to Australia, and my youngest son graduated from high school, and I took him on a ski trip. Well, I broke my leg.
Oh, no.
But my husband had died, and so we were left not knowingly without any health insurance. So I had a period of between March and October to heal, to prepare to go to Australia because I had qualified. And I literally did it, but I don't know how I did it.
Yeah,
but I never had the surgery.
Superwoman powers.
I got in the water. I swear by water therapy, and I had a friend that was a physical therapist, and because the doctors finally wouldn't talk to me because I wasn't going to have the surgery. I couldn't afford to.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't recommend this at all, but it was just one of these situations, and I just had a friend in California who was a sports psychologist. She did a lot of hands-on healing, and she sent me healing tapes, and I don't know. I got to go to Australia and be on the team. So I was on Team USA for 23 years, and it was we saw our sport get into the Olympics, and that was the whole purpose. And it was a great ride. It
must be awesome to watch a sport develop, to be there at the beginning and watch the sport develop and be part of that development.
It was the whole purpose, And we thought after we got in the Olympics that they wouldn't want the age group team anymore, but then I think the age group team now supports the the Olympic team. So I still stay active in the in the organization. Yeah. Still coaching triathletes, and so.
How long has it been since you've done a triathlon?
I did my last World Championship in 2009, but I've been participating since with, I coach Team in Training, and they raise money for leukemia and lymphoma research here at UK. Okay. And so I trained with them, and I've done some smaller triathlons with them, but I don't do much anymore. I do a lot of running. I mean, not running, a lot water running, and a lot of cycling and swimming. But I don't road run much anymore.
Yeah, it's hard on you sometimes.
Just too many years of pounding.
Yeah. So, could you talk a little bit about how your participation in physical activity across your life has really how it's impacted your health decisions, or how you think about health?
I just think that I see so many people my age that are very inactive, and I just think, that the word is keeping your body, keep moving. And I have a slogan, keep on keeping on, because I just think that's very important for all of us, no matter what age. And it distresses me to see young people that aren't exercising, but it even stresses me more to see people that have been active that suddenly stop, and there's so many things you can do. I mean, if you say, well, I can't play tennis anymore, I can't do this anymore. I mean, I'm finding something new every day. I just bought a paddle board that converts to a kayak because I want to work on my balance. I want to keep active. I love the water. I want to. So there's always things and new things to do, and you just have to have that mentality that you're willing to try something new, and but I just think.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great example that you're not doing all the sports you've done your whole life, but you've transitioned into new things.
And hiking is something I'd never done. And here in Kentucky, we've got these beautiful trails and beautiful places to hike. And I grew up in western Kentucky in the woods practically, and I really missed that. And I didn't realize how much I missed that. So there's all kinds of things you can continue doing, but you have to want to do it. You got to get yourself out the door every day.
Yeah. Are there people in your life now that you enjoy being active with, or is being active more of a solo activity for you?
I stay very active with my team in training. Most of my active friends are a little younger than me. I have a few my age to still do a few things, but most of my friends are, and then like Thanksgiving and Christmas, my youngest son and I went hiking. Mm-hmm. So I stay active with my family and my close friends.
Yeah. Good way to get some quality time in with people.
Yes.
Good. So if you think back over the course of your life, how would your life have been different if you didn't have all these physical activity and sport experiences?
I can't imagine life without activity. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, I can't even sit still long enough for probably this interview.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're almost done. Hang in there.
But what I'm saying is, like watching the ball game yesterday, I was on my trainer.
Yeah.
Because I can't sit and watch something like that, Mm-hmm. But I've always been active. My mother would just drive her crazy because I'd be out in the yard doing cartwheels when, she would I want to be combing my hair or something. That's just my personality, I guess.
Been part of who you are for
part of who I am.
Long as you can remember.
Yeah.
So if you think about girls and women who are trying to be active and trying to insert physical activity into their life, what advice would you give them?
Just start somewhere. Do something you enjoy. And it's important to find people that you enjoy doing it with, because I think that we all need companionship, and we all need people to encourage us. And if you have to meet somebody to walk, you'll get up and go walk. If you're just going to go out the door yourself, you're going to delay it. You're going to find 10 other things you have to do. And I think it's important to find something you enjoy doing with somebody and then make an effort to do that.
Mm-hmm. Has there ever been a point in your life where you felt like there wasn't an activity that you really enjoyed doing?
I've never had that problem.
Yeah.
I can always find something that I want to do. Or
pretty easily transitioned into new activities across your lifespan. Good. So what else would you like to share with us today? Anything else?
Just stay active, keep your body moving. It's very important, and just keep smiling and keep enjoying life. That's, my message to you.
Great. Well, I really thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.